Lots of lightning and thunder passing through Ponchatoula and heading off towards the east here, moving into St. Tammany. Some of these storms are producing some very strong wind gusts. We have had some reported wind gusts up here in portions of Tangipahoa Parish, east of Amite, of some trees getting blown down. Some of these trees, they said, were probably damaged from Ida, so winds may have been gusting 40 to 50 miles an hour as this line is blowing through parts of the North Shore. The intensity has come down some. That's the good news, but it is still producing very heavy rainfall. You can see now getting into the Bogalusa area. All right, let's focus on the New Orleans metro because not much is going on at this point, but we got a lot of storms just to the west, back through the river parishes, back into Upper Lafourche. This is all heading to the east here at about 40 to 50 miles an hour. These things are moving quickly. That's good because the faster they move, the faster we can get them in here and get them out. But as they do come on in, expect a lot of heavy rain, thunder and lightning, a lot of lightning, and maybe even some hail and gusty winds. There is a risk for one or two spin-up tornadoes or an isolated spin-up tornado, so we need to keep an eye on that. But really, really heavy rain coming on in. And as this does come in, it is probably going to drop rainfall rates of 2 to 3 inches an hour, which means street flooding is probably going to become an issue across parts of the metro in the coming hour or so. We do have a new aerial flood advisory or a street flood advisory that's been issued for the metro of New Orleans because this heavy rain is going to be moving in. So we are expecting the heavy rain to be increasing in the city within probably the next 20 to 30 minutes. I do have a timeline on this for you to give you maybe a better timeline of when it's getting closer to New Orleans and the French Quarter. Notice in the next probably 20 minutes or so, we are going to start seeing it really pick up across the French Quarter. So if you are watching us in the French Quarter, if you're at the festival, you still have roughly 15 to 20 minutes or so before the bottom falls out, and then that heavy rain is going to be sweeping across the city. That's specifically for the French Quarter area or the downtown area of New Orleans. Notice getting closer to St. Rose at any moment. It's picking up there. Kenner, in the next 10 minutes or so, you'll start to see some heavier rain move in, and then towards Tulane, uptown, 12:50 or so, and then New Orleans downtown in the next 20 minutes, including the French Quarter. Parts of the West Bank and getting into St. Bernard, maybe closer to 1 o'clock, you start to see the heavier rain come on in. So if you are watching us in the heart of New Orleans, you still have a couple minutes, 15 minutes or so to maybe find a bar to go into if you're in the Quarter, just something that's a sturdy structure where you're not standing out in these big storms with lightning. You don't want to take shelter under a big oak tree. Lightning likes those tall things, so that's something to watch for, and you don't want to be standing under one of those big stages and things. So I'm sure the event organizers are keeping an eye on this, and listen to any officials on what they're telling you and telling you where to go. So that's what we're going to be watching with these storms as they do approach the city in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. These things are dumping some heavy, heavy rain, and I want you to take a look at these rainfall rates. We are seeing significant rainfall rates of up to 2 to 4 inches an hour. Some radar is measuring 4 to 6 inch an hour instantaneous rainfall rates. So that's not going to, if it rains an hour, you'll get that, but most places could pick up a quick couple of inches with some of these very, very heavy showers and storms that are starting to move off towards the east. Let's put it in motion for you so you can see that over the past about hour or so, we went from not really seeing anything just west of the city to big storms blossoming. So these storms are intensifying as they move in, which means the rainfall rates will be picking up as they do move in this morning, or rather this afternoon. So if you got to get your car ready, if you got to park higher places, get the car ready to park it higher. Maybe you got to get it on the neutral ground, things like that. The good news is this is not going to last all afternoon long. I want to show you the timing of this. You can see the showers and storms blowing in right now. By 3 to 4 o'clock, a lot of this is going to be moving out of southeast Louisiana. It'll be in Mississippi through the afternoon, but here in New Orleans, maybe you're up in Ponchatoula for the Strawberry Fest, maybe you're in the French Quarter for the French Quarter Fest. In the next couple of hours, things will improve. So a big part of this later afternoon, I think, is going to be okay. And then notice this evening, we get a little bit of a break, but then here comes round 2. The next round's going to start to fire up. May have a few storms firing up this evening, 6, 7 o'clock, but then the main line of storms is going to advance through the area late tonight. We're talking maybe after 1, 2, 3 a.m. You can see a line of storms coming in. That's a cool front, and this is going to dry us out, fortunately, as we look at your Sunday. So we're not going to see huge issues tomorrow. It'll be today, a break, and then tonight. We do have a risk for severe weather. This is why we want you watching this closely. We have a level 2 out of 5. We're talking damaging wind gusts is the main concern, but can't rule out some hail, and an isolated tornado is possible, and then very heavy rainfall that can lead to some localized flooding. So once again, if you're just joining us here before I toss back to our regular programming on Channel 4, we are tracking these showers and storms heading into the metro. They'll be here within the next 10 to 15 minutes, at least in the heart of New Orleans in the French Quarter. So if you're watching us in the French Quarter, you still have a couple minutes to get somewhere where you can ride these things out. But these will be blowing in, dumping very heavy rainfall that will likely lead to areas of street flooding. And then we'll also be watching for some damaging wind gusts, maybe some hail, and there is just enough spin. We need to keep an eye for an isolated tornado, although that risk is much lower. If you are just joining us on our app, we are streaming this on our app and website. You can join me over there if you're watching on TV right now and you want more coverage. We're going to continue that over on the internet. For now, we're going to toss back to our regular programming on Channel 4, but much more information coming up over on our app and on web.
From WWL-TV's Eyewitness News, this has been your local weather expert alert, sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency.
All right, welcome back. It is 12:40 here. We are continuing talking about our storms here on our WWL TV app. We're streaming this on our app. We're streaming this on our website as well. And if you are watching us and you're out and about this afternoon enjoying what was a fairly nice start in the French Quarter for French Quarter Fest or Ponchatoula for Strawberry Fest, we've got some really big storms coming on in. Now, if you're in Ponchatoula watching us, it is coming down. There is a lot of lightning and thunder. So if you are up here watching us at the moment, you're still in the thick of it. But there is going to be some relief in the next probably 10 minutes or so as this advances to the east. It's still going to be raining, but the heaviest of it is going to start to wind down in Ponchatoula in the next 10 minutes. Now, here in the city of New Orleans, if you're watching us in the French Quarter and you're out and about, you need to get ready for some rain here. We are expecting these storms to blow in at any moment in the next probably 10 minutes or so. Those storms are going to start to approach the heart of New Orleans itself. We're already seeing those storms, though, knocking on the doorstep of Kenner, and it's certainly raining crazy or hard out there in St. Charles Parish. So here's live radar and showing you the timing of when these storms could reach your area. They're moving at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. They're not moving slow. And you can see getting closer to New Orleans in the next 10 minutes or less. We'll say 5 to 10 minutes in the heart of New Orleans, getting uptown just a little bit earlier in the next 10 minutes, and then getting towards the St. Bernard area, Chalmette, and portions to the east of there once we get closer to the 1 p.m. hour, at least the heavy, strong storms here. Something to watch out for in these, obviously heavy rainfall, but thunder and lightning is going to be plentiful. Gusty winds are possible. We have had some wind gusts probably over 40 to 50 miles an hour in a few of these storms, and can't rule out an isolated tornado. Sometimes you get these spin-up tornadoes on the leading edge of these complexes of storms, so that's something we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on for you. But as these storms roll in, you need to be getting somewhere just to ride it out where you can, in an interior place, a bar in the French Quarter, just anywhere that is inside, and preferably not under any trees or big oak trees, and not next to any of our big stages either. So as winds get gusty, you certainly don't want to be standing next to any of those unsecured or not well foundation to the ground structures. But you can see the timeline there. Once again, in the next 10 minutes or so, we'll start to see some of those storms blow into the city. We've been talking about this is not going to be an all-day problem. This is really just going to be right now for the next couple of hours or so as these storms come on in. Let me show you our high-resolution modeling showing these storms coming on in right now as we speak. And then notice by 3 o'clock or so, 3 to 4 o'clock, a lot of these storms are moving into Mississippi. It's going to be stormy in Mississippi a little while longer, but in Louisiana, we'll get the worst of it out of here in the next couple of hours. So if you are out at the festivals, maybe they can kick back off later this afternoon. It'll just be a little soggy. Don't forget the shrimp boots. As we get into this evening, though, could see a few storms start to develop ahead of our next disturbance or cold front. That front is going to be moving in tonight, and that is going to bring us around to storms after midnight. We're talking probably 1, 2, 3 a.m. Here comes a line of storms. A few of these could be intense. We will once again be watching for gusty winds, hail, and an isolated tornado or two with this line. So this will be as you're probably home and asleep, and then we get this out of here by tomorrow morning. By the time we get to Sunday afternoon, we've got a north wind, sunshine, and it is looking a lot nicer for your Sunday afternoon. So the whole weekend's not going to be a wash. It's really just going to be in the next couple of hours, and then that next rain coming in tonight. Here's our severe weather risk. There is a much higher risk for severe weather to our north today, but down here we're at a level 2 out of 5 for all of southeast Louisiana and south Mississippi. Main things are damaging winds, could gust 60 to 70 miles an hour. We're also going to be watching for some hail and an isolated tornado or two, and then that heavy rainfall. There's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere right now, and it wouldn't take much for rainfall rates to get on up there where you pick up a quick couple of inches in a short amount of time, and that's how you get your street flooding problems. So we will likely start to see some street flooding problems pop up in those typical spots in the next 30 minutes or so across the city of New Orleans, because this rain's not going to, it's going to move in, but it's going to be heavy enough to where it could certainly lead to our street flooding. Winds are gusty right now. It's 21 at the lakefront, but as these storms blow in, they could produce wind gusts higher than 20 to 30 miles an hour. So that's why we're just messaging to make sure you are just sheltering somewhere inside as the storms roll through, and that'll probably be plenty safe if you just get away from any trees outside. So we're going to continue to watch this for you. We will let you know if there's any big updates. We'll be here tracking it to make sure nothing gets too severe, but certainly heavy rain, strong storms with a lot of thunder and lightning will be moving into the city. At any moment, we're already starting to see it increase out in Kenner, River Ridge, Harahan. It'll be getting to the quarter at any moment. So the storms are moving in and should move out in the next couple of hours. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on things for you, but thanks so much for joining me here on our app and on our website as we keep an eye on the weather for you for your Saturday afternoon.
From WWL-TV's Eyewitness News, this has been your local weather expert alert, sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency.